You did everything they told you to do, right? You did well in school, got the degree, and landed the good job. You show up early, you work hard, you're a great teammate. By all of society's metrics, you're a success. So why does it feel less like you're climbing a ladder and more like you're running on a hamster wheel? Why does every promotion just seem to make the wheel spin faster? This is the heart of the paycheck trap. Your reward for running harder is a bigger, fancier cage, not the key to get out. You feel like you're moving, but you're not actually going anywhere. What if the very thing society has taught you to see as your ultimate source of security is actually a beautifully designed trap that ensures you never, ever stop running? The hard truth is, the game you were taught to master was never about building freedom. It was about becoming the most efficient runner. And the wealthy? They simply aren't playing that game at all. And I'm going to prove it to you today. My name is Jake, and my job here is to cut through the noise. They tell you that finance is complicated, but the truth is, the most powerful strategies are surprisingly simple. My goal is to show you how money really works, so you can take control and get your money right. If you're tired of the confusing advice and want the straight talk on building wealth, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button if this video gives you some clarity. So, let's talk about this hamster wheel. Most people think the path to wealth is just a bigger, faster wheel. You go to school, get good grades, and land a good job. Your first wheel. Then you work harder, put in the extra hours, and get a promotion. A slightly bigger, shinier wheel. You get a raise, and the wheel starts spinning faster. You get more pellets, that bigger paycheck, and you feel successful. And why wouldn't you? Society is built to reward good wheel runners. Your parents are proud, your friends are impressed. You get a better job title to put on your LinkedIn profile. The system works until it doesn't. Here's the hidden danger of the hamster wheel. The moment you stop running, the pellets stop coming. If you get sick, you stop running. If you get laid off, the wheel is taken away from you. If you want to take a 6-month break to travel the world, the pellet dispenser is shut off. Your entire livelihood is tied directly to your ability to keep running, day in and day out. Now, there's another way. Instead of running on a wheel, you could spend your time building a pipeline from a lake to your village. At first, this looks insane. You spend months, maybe even years, digging trenches and laying pipe. You're working your tail off, sweating, and you have nothing to show for it. No water, no pellets. Your friends on the hamster wheels are looking at you like you're crazy. But then, one day, you connect that final piece of pipe, and with a simple turn of a valve, water starts flowing. And it doesn't stop. It flows while you're sleeping, while you're on vacation, while you're sick. Your paycheck is the hamster wheel. Assets are the pipeline. The entire middle class is taught how to get better and better at running on the wheel. The wealthy are taught how to build a pipeline. Understanding this one single concept is the absolute key to unlocking real financial freedom. It's not about running faster. It's about getting out of the running business altogether. So in this video, we are going to do a deep dive into the psychology of this paycheck trap. We'll explore exactly why that hamster wheel feels so addictively safe. And I'll walk you through the critical mindset shift required to start building your very first pipeline, even while you're still running on the wheel to pay the bills. Then I'm going to show you the 4 main types of pipelines the wealthy have been building for centuries, and how you can use your paycheck, not as a trap, but as a temporary tool to start building your very first one. So if the paycheck is a trap, why does almost everyone fall for it? Why are we so obsessed with the hamster wheel? Well, it's because the system is designed to be incredibly seductive. From the moment we're old enough to understand work, we're conditioned. School doesn't teach us how to build businesses or buy assets. It teaches us how to be good employees. It teaches us to show up on time, follow directions, and complete tasks for a reward, a good grade. That system perfectly prepares us for the professional world, where we show up on time, follow directions, and complete tasks for a paycheck. We spend 16 years of our lives being trained to be excellent runners on the wheel. Then you get that first real job. That first paycheck hits your account. It feels like validation. You're an adult. You're responsible. You get a promotion and a raise. What does that feel like? It feels like progress. You're getting a bigger, shinier wheel and more pellets, so you upgrade your lifestyle. You get a nicer apartment, a more expensive car. You're running faster now, and you need those extra pellets just to keep the lights on in your new, bigger life. This is the trap of lifestyle inflation. You're working harder, making more money, but you're not any freer. In fact, you're more trapped, because now you have to keep running at this new, faster pace, or the whole thing comes crashing down. The wheel isn't just a wheel anymore. It's a gold-plated cage. And all the other hamsters are looking at your cage with envy, which makes you feel even more successful. This is the hamster wheel mindset. It keeps you laser-focused on earning, not owning. And the secret to freedom isn't earning more. It's owning more.
But here's the kicker, the part they don't mention on career day. The hamster wheel has a hidden, non-negotiable cost, and it isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in your life.
The most valuable, non-renewable, and irreplaceable resource you will ever have is your time. A job, by its very definition, is a direct trade of your finite life hours for money. You are selling pieces of your life, 1 hour at a time, for a set price. And there's a hard cap on that. You can't work more than 24 hours in a day. You can't hustle your way into a 300-hour work week. You're the battery. Every single day, you go to work, you plug yourself into the machine, and you drain your energy in exchange for cash. Think about the person who makes it in the traditional sense. They become a partner at a law firm or a senior VP at a big company. They're making $500,000 a year. They are the fastest runner on the most luxurious, diamond-encrusted wheel you've ever seen. But look closer. They work 80 hours a week. They haven't had a real vacation in years. Their health is suffering. Their relationships are strained. They have all the money in the world but no time to enjoy it. And if they get sick, if they burn out, if they decide they can't run that fast anymore, the pellets stop. The entire system they've built their life around collapses. Real wealth is not about having a high income. It's about decoupling your income from your time. It's about building a system that works when you aren't. That's the pipeline. So if the wheel is a trap, how the heck do you get off? This is the most important part. You don't just leap off. That's terrifying and, for most of us, impossible. You have bills to pay. You have responsibilities. No, you use the wheel to build your pipeline. This is the fundamental mindset shift. Your job is no longer your identity. It is a tool. It is the funding source for your freedom. You use the pellets from the wheel to buy the pipes. Every dollar you invest is you buying a tiny piece of a pipeline. At first, this process feels slow, awkward, and deeply unrewarding. You spend your weekend learning about index funds while your friends are spending their bonuses on a weekend trip. You put $100 into your investment account. It feels like nothing. You work on a side hustle for 20 hours and make a grand total of $5. It feels pointless. Let me tell you something. That first $5 you make from your pipeline, from an asset, is infinitely more powerful than a $500 bonus from your job. Why? Because that $5 wasn't tied to your time. It was the system working. It was the pipe delivering its first drop of water. It's the proof of concept that changes everything. Building a pipeline is like planting an apple tree. For the first few years, all you're doing is watering a pathetic-looking stick in the ground. You get no apples. It feels like a total waste of time. Meanwhile, your neighbor is on their hamster wheel picking berries every day. They have food now. But you keep watering that sapling. And then, a few years later, you have a massive tree that produces hundreds of apples a year, every year, whether you show up to water it or not. Your job is for picking berries to eat today. Your pipeline is for planting an orchard that will feed you for a lifetime. So this pipeline analogy sounds great, but what does it actually look like in the real world? What kind of pipes are we even talking about here? It's actually simpler than you think. There are really only 4 major types of pipelines or asset classes that people build. The first type of pipeline is a business. This is the one you dig and build from the ground up, all by yourself. Most people think they have a business, but what they really have is just a higher-paying, more stressful hamster wheel. A freelance graphic designer who trades hours for dollars isn't running a business. They own their job. A dentist who has to personally see every patient to make money isn't running a business. They own their job. They're still running on a wheel. It might be a custom-built high-tech wheel, but the moment they stop running, the money stops. A true business pipeline is a system that works without you. It's the graphic designer who builds an agency, hires other designers, creates a process for finding clients, and manages the system. It's the dentist who opens a clinic, hires other dentists and hygienists, and creates a business that generates profit whether she's physically in the building or not.
Building this kind of pipeline is incredibly difficult. It takes time, effort, and there's no guarantee of success. It's like digging that trench in the hot sun with no water in sight. But if you get it right, it's the pipeline that can provide the strongest flow of all, giving you ultimate control over your income and your time.
But what if you don't have a revolutionary business idea? What if you want to use a more proven blueprint to build your first pipeline? That brings us to the second, and perhaps the most classic pipeline the wealthy have used for generations: real estate.
This is the pipeline that you can actually use other people's money to help you build. Think about that for a second. The bank gives you a loan, a mortgage, to buy a house. That's their money. Then you rent that house out to a tenant. The tenant's monthly rent payment covers your mortgage, your taxes, your insurance, and hopefully leaves a little extra cash in your pocket. That's their money. You've essentially orchestrated a deal where the bank's capital and the tenant's rent are building a pipeline for you. The equity in the house grows, the loan gets paid down, and you get a stream of income every month. This is the polar opposite of how most people interact with real estate. The middle class is taught to save for decades to buy a dream home. But that home isn't an asset, it's a liability. It's a leak in your financial plumbing. It takes money out of your pocket every month for the mortgage, taxes, insurance, and the inevitable broken water heater. A rental property, on the other hand, is a pipeline. It's designed from day one to put money into your pocket. It's like getting a loan to buy a prefabricated section of pipe. Someone else helps you install it, and the water starts flowing to you and the bank until one day it's all yours. Now, both of those options, building a business and buying real estate, require a lot of hands-on work, knowledge, and often a significant amount of capital. They can be intimidating. But what if you want to build wealth more passively? What if you wanted to own a tiny piece of thousands of pipelines all at once, without ever having to unclog a toilet or manage an employee? This brings us to the third and most accessible pipeline for the average person: paper assets, which is just a fancy term for stocks, bonds, and exchange-traded funds, or ETFs. When you hear the word stocks, you might picture a high-stress trader on Wall Street yelling into a phone. But the reality is much simpler and calmer. When you buy a share of a company, you are buying a tiny, microscopic piece of their pipeline. Think about it. When you buy a single share of Apple through an ETF, you're not just buying a ticker symbol on a screen. You are now entitled to a tiny fraction of the profit from every single iPhone, every MacBook, and every Apple Music subscription sold anywhere in the world. You literally have the smartest engineers, the most brilliant marketers, and the most ruthless executives at one of the world's most powerful companies, all getting up every morning and going to work to make your pipeline flow. You don't have to build the system. You don't have to manage the employees. You don't even have to know how an iPhone works. You can simply buy a broad market index fund, like an S&P 500 ETF, and instantly own a piece of 500 of the biggest and best pipelines in the United States. This is the analogy. Instead of building your own pipeline, you're buying shares in a massive water utility company. You don't lay the pipes yourself. You just own a piece of the entire network, and a small trickle from every tap flows into your account in the form of dividends and stock price appreciation. This is the easiest way to start using your paycheck from the hamster wheel to fund a pipeline, starting with as little as a few bucks a month. There's one more type of pipeline, and it's the oldest one in human history. It's not about systems or companies. It's about owning the raw materials that make the world work. I'm talking about commodities. This pipeline is a bit different. It's owning real, tangible stuff: gold, silver,
oil, even agricultural products. These aren't businesses that generate profits. Their value comes from their real-world utility and their scarcity. This type of pipeline often acts as a defense against leaks in your other financial systems. For example, when governments print a ton of money, the value of that money can go down. That's called inflation. It's a slow leak that drains the purchasing power from your savings. During those times, physical assets like gold often hold their value or even increase in price. People have used gold as a store of value for thousands of years for this very reason. It's a hedge against economic uncertainty. So if paper assets are like owning a piece of the water utility network, owning a commodity like gold is like owning the reservoir itself. It doesn't necessarily flow with cash every month in the same way a rental property or a dividend stock does. But its foundational value is what underpins everything else. It's a pipeline of preservation, ensuring that the wealth you build with your other pipelines doesn't slowly leak away over time. Now, that might sound overwhelming, but here's the secret. You don't have to be a genius to build one. For 99% of people, the easiest and most effective pipeline to build is through paper assets. Specifically, a low-cost, broad market index fund like one that tracks the S&P 500. Think about what that is. You are buying a tiny, microscopic piece of 500 of the biggest, most profitable pipelines in the entire country. You own a sliver of Apple, a piece of Microsoft, a chunk of Amazon. You don't have to invent a new kind of pipe. You can just buy a small ownership stake in a massive existing water main that is already flowing with cash. Every time you take a piece of your paycheck and automatically invest it into an index fund, you are literally using the hamster wheel to build your pipeline. So, in the end, this isn't about jobs being bad or paychecks being evil. My job pays my bills, and yours probably does too. This is about understanding the game you're playing. The world is divided into two groups: those who spend their entire lives getting better and faster at running on the wheel, and those who use the wheel as a temporary tool to build a pipeline. The paycheck gives you a living. The pipeline gives you a life. Now, this path isn't easy. Building a pipeline is slow. It's unglamorous, and it requires you to think differently than almost everyone around you. It's a conscious choice to trade the instant gratification of a few extra pellets today for the quiet confidence of long-term freedom tomorrow. But the power to choose this path is completely in your hands. Decades from now, you're going to look back. You'll either be an exhausted runner on a very fancy gold-plated wheel wishing you had started, or you'll be sitting by your pipeline, watching it flow, and thanking the person you are today for having the courage to lay that first single piece of pipe. If you're ready to stop just running and start building, prove it to your future self by hitting that subscribe button. And to learn exactly how to gather the materials for your first pipeline, check out my video on why $10,000 is the most important money you'll ever save. I'll see you in the next video. Now go get your money right.